Good evening, everyone. The two men you see standing before you are Gary and Ron. They work for ACG Industries as data processors. It's a standard 9-to-5 with benefits, dental, and an attractive 401k plan. Gary is 35 years old, Caucasian, and has a wife named Anne. And twin daughters, Shaniqua and Yejole, spelled Yejealous. They live in a nice suburban home and are considered middle class. Ron is 29 years old, Caucasian, unmarried, and often contemplates his upcoming 30th birthday, and tries to compensate for the emptiness in his soul with rampant alcoholism. His lust for the drink has taken him over to the point of drinking even at work. His coworkers are aware of the situation, but due to an intense distrust of upper management, everyone turns a blind eye. It was one vodka-addled morning that Ron sat down at his desk, feeling particularly grim. He didn't feel like working, but who does, right? He turned on his computer and he looked at the time, 9:03 a.m. He decided not to quit. He had a better idea. Gary's wife, Anne, had never quite lost the baby weight after the twins. In truth, the problem had become greatly exacerbated, as she had swelled to a size that would be considered laughable even in Missouri. Gary couldn't get an erection for his wife, tried as he might. He loved her dearly, but he was a man with a rampant libido, and he needed a hump. Ron sat at his desk and shook his flask. There were 2 fingers left. Not enough to get him through the day, but enough to pull this kind of stunt. So he swigged the last of his flask and posted an ad on Craigslist in the casual encounter section, and walked out for a cigarette break, and to refill his flask from the bottle he kept in his car. As Gary thought at his desk, his mind was distracted by the thought of having sex with his morbidly obese wife. This proved to be unpleasant, so he focused his sexual attention elsewhere, on the categories of pornography he most often viewed. Hairy, BBW, interracial, and ironically enough, BBW again. It's not like he wasn't attracted to heavy women, it's just his wife had really just lost her glow. So Gary had become a chronic masturbator to compensate for his inability to please his wife. Gary was on the way to one of his bathroom breaks when he walked past a coworker's computer and noticed a page that was open. It was a Craigslist ad. Gary's curiosity besieged him, and he started to read the ad. "Are you looking for a good time?"
No, man, I'm just here for the fuck of it.
Gary thought. This plea for attention and blatant disregard for the English language by using letters for words and the way she spells boys with a Z strangely angered Gary. Sexually. His animosity toward his wife and the prospect of humping some uneducated hood rat made him harder than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Gary did the only respectable thing he could think of. He told his boss he had a family emergency, he quietly packed his things, and he left the office, but not before replying to the ad. Ron re-entered his place of employment with a flask again heavy with booze, smelling of freshly burned cigarette. He entered the elevator and directed it to go to the 10th floor. The elevator stopped, and as the doors opened, he almost bumped into someone stepping on. He saw the man's face, but didn't recognize him as one of the regular smokers, just another face from the sea of cubicles. Ron walked back to his desk, turned his monitor on, and looked at the time. 10:51 a.m. He swigged his flask and said aloud,
Fuck it.
which turned out to be much louder than he had originally intended it to be, because a few of his coworkers were looking his way. But he found power in the statement, or in the fear of being embarrassed, and exclaimed,
That's right. I said fuck it.
"Yeah, that sounded right. It felt right." He grabbed his briefcase and his BMT and stormed out of that office to begin anew. Just as Ron reached the elevator to leave this place for good, his phone beeped. He had an email. Gary pulled in the driveway of his modest suburban home and rushed through the door. The anticipation of a random sexual encounter made him as giddy as a young woman discovering her body for the first time. He began to tear through his closet, rummaging through the countless sets of work attire he always seemed to wear. This wasn't work, this was playtime. Oh god, what were the kids wearing these days? Were baggy jeans still in style? What about visors? He did his best to look like he was in his 20s again. A faint effort for a total stranger, but it felt right. Gary was on his way to the front door when it opened before him, and his wife walked through with a very perplexed look on her face.
Why are you wearing a mesh shirt and zip-off pants?
Gary stood there, frozen in fear, wrought with confusion as to why his wife was home so early, and why he was wearing a mesh shirt. And he decided to muster out the best lie he could think of.
It's casual Friday, and I'm late.
And he darted back to his car as quickly as he could. Ron walked in the agreed-upon hotel room with suitcase in hand. He walked to the bathroom, applied his makeup, adorned a brunette wig, and strapped on some brown pumps. Ron had always been insecure about his penis size, and justifiably so. Fully erect, it barely scraped 3 inches. It was only 1 1/4 inch in circumference. For once, it would be an asset. Luckily, dudes are into anal. He pulled the final item from his bag, a roll of transparent duct tape. Ron was in the 3-point football stance when he heard a knock on the door. "I'll be right there," he replied in his most effeminate voice. Gary waited impatiently on the other side of the door. Finally, it opened, and he saw the mystery woman with whom he was to perform coitus. She was slender, with long, beautiful brown hair. Her jawline a little bit more pronounced than he cared for, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. That's a whole lot of woman. The two embraced each other, spinning round and round in a whirl of sexual frenzy. There was no time for heavy petting. This was about business. This was about raw, unadulterated pleasure. Gary grabbed the woman by her hair, bent her over the bed, and tore off her mini skirt. The room was dark, so he couldn't see where he was aiming, but what the hell? This was a business transaction, and I felt entitled to whatever weird fetishes I could imagine. So I unbuckled my belt, I untucked my shirt, my penis swelled with blood, and I knew that I wanted her badly. I put my leg up on the bed, and she started making a loud yelping noise.
Wait. Whoa. Braden, is this your fucking sex story?
Yeah, I thought you guys knew that.
Oh, god damn it, Braden! Man, I'm done with this kid. I'm fucking done with this kid.
No, I refuse to give up hope. We spent way too much time in this kid. You know what we need to do?
Intervention!
Intervene what? What's wrong with you guys?
Braden, every time you have a new experience, it changes who you are. Now you're letting it affect the group.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were my friends. Now I see you don't care about what's going on in my life.
Braden, how do I put this slightly? Your life is stupid. The only reason we brought you into this room is to make you a more well-rounded individual.
I mean, maybe if you lost this whole Buddy Holly look you've got going, somebody might fucking respect you for once.
Certainly not us. We just took this out on our own kind-hearted nature. But we must fix this right now. Let's start with, I don't know, how about the boat shoes? Lose them, asshole!
Untuck your shirt from your khakis, you dick.
No reasonable women listen to Devo, Braden.
Oh my god, especially when Devo's playing out of a Prius. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You're not gonna tell us that you're gonna take that shitty-ass Prius down to a Rush concert or something.
Hey guys, Rush is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh. I'm speechless, Matt.
We are not giving up hope.
No,
We are not giving up hope. We will intervention the shit out of this kid until he's a real alcoholic, underachieving slacker,
yeah,
like a real American.
Damn right.
Guys, I like who I am.
But Braden, who you are is the problem. God damn it.
Yeah. Fuck yourself.
I know I'm not much to look at. You know, I look kind of like what happened when your accountant had sex with the Sega Genesis. But I mean, Rush is my favorite band, completely unironically. I can tell you that my favorite album is 1990's Roll the Bones, or my favorite song comes from 1979's Permanent Waves. I just forgot the name of the album. What kind of a nerd am I? I can see the judgment in your faces, alright? It's not my fault that I'm like this, okay? Guys, like, I was homeschooled, but very sheltered. I never had, like, exposure to popular culture, so I kind of just had to, like, make things up for my own. I became this really idiosyncratic personality. I don't know, like, I have a different perspective on things. For example, you might know Van Halen's Hot for Teacher as a fun summertime jam. To me, it's a soul-wrenching piece about an Oedipus complex. My favorite books growing up were the Bible and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And those things just kind of like battled out in my mind, and it kind of meshed together to be just like, now I guess my mind's best described as the gospel according to Douglas Adams. I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to go to bed wearing the clothes that I would wear for the next day. So I would wake up just like ready to take on the day, which almost makes sense. But I was homeschooled. Like I had nowhere to be. I could have just been wearing pajamas all day to get everything I needed to done. Like it was no point to it. I don't know. I guess I just like to have things in order. You know, I wear my khakis with my button-down shirts tucked in, you know, the sleeves rolled up a little bit. Like I'm ready to get some work done just as long as I don't have to get dirty. So what's it like to be me? I don't know. Sometimes I think that I'm just another hipster clone. You know, another cog in the machine of popular culture circa 2014. Other times I think I'm on the verge of a divine inspiration. You know, I could change the world. I could change everyone's lives. But at the end of the day, I guess what I'm really hoping for is that I could just change me.